Most people think Atlanta's black wealth is something you see on a screen. A rapper pulling up in a Rolls, a reality star sipping champagne poolside. The kind of money that performs for an audience and vanishes just as fast. But the real wealth in Atlanta, it doesn't post, it doesn't trend, and it almost never moves. It just compounds, quietly, block by block, deed by deed, generation by generation. And believe me, the spot landing at number 1 will show exactly why Atlanta earned the title of the Black Mecca. Number 10, Union City, Georgia, the quiet entry point that everyone misses. If you are only looking at the surface, Union City looks modest. The numbers read somewhere between $47,000 and $60,000 in median household income, and you might scroll right past it. That would be a mistake, because Union City is not where black wealth arrives. It is where it begins, intentionally, patiently, with a long game in mind. Situated in South Fulton, just minutes from the single busiest airport on the planet, this suburb has become the launching pad for a generation of young black professionals who understand something their peers in flashier zip codes do not. Proximity to infrastructure is a wealth engine. Hartsfield-Jackson is not just a backdrop, it is a massive employer. Pilots, operations managers, logistics coordinators, and healthcare professionals at nearby facilities all clock in, drive home, and quietly convert paychecks into equity. Married households here regularly clear 6 figures, sometimes pushing past $110,000. Home ownership is climbing toward 50% and accelerating. Houses that used to fly under the radar now sit comfortably between $250,000 and $350,000, appreciating fast enough to make the people who waited nervous. The lifestyle here reflects exactly where these residents are in their journey. New townhomes, family parks. First-time homeowners learn what a burst pipe costs at 2 in the morning. It is not glamorous, but it is intentional. Anyone paying attention to what Cedar Hill, Texas looked like a decade before it became a recognized black wealth hub will recognize the pattern immediately. Union City is still early, still accessible, still forming. And that is precisely why it matters. Number 9, Stone Mountain, Georgia, where education did the heavy lifting. Stone Mountain carries a complicated reputation, but look past the outdated narrative, and something far more interesting reveals itself. In the black pockets of this eastern DeKalb suburb, quiet wealth has been compounding on the back of one thing above everything else: education. Median household income in these communities hovers around $70,000. More than half of residents hold college degrees. Homeownership stays consistently above 50%. Housing prices range from the low 200s of thousands to $400,000, with appreciation that is not spectacular, just stubbornly reliable year after year. But here's what makes Stone Mountain fascinating. None of this happened fast. After World War II, black teachers, engineers, administrators, and public sector workers began choosing this area deliberately. They came for the space. They stayed for the schools. They raised children with an eye on security rather than spectacle. And over time, that professional base created a cycle that reinforces itself. Strong schools produce strong property values. Strong property values attract more professionals. Repeat for 70 years, and you have a neighborhood that ages with grace. Life here has a confident rhythm. Tree-lined streets, well-maintained homes, black-owned restaurants with loyal locals who will fight you about which one has the best food. Stone Mountain Park adds a layer of daily luxury that does not photograph well for social media, but makes every morning better. This is a community that understands wealth as something you live with, not something you perform for an audience. Number 8, Stonecrest, Georgia, built by the diaspora, run by the community. Stonecrest is different from anything else on this list, and it knows it. Incorporated in 2016 as Georgia's first majority black city, it represents a rare convergence of prosperity and political power. Black residents here did not just accumulate wealth, they acquired the authority to shape how that wealth grows. Household incomes land between $70,000 and $90,000. Homeownership sits above 60%, and the housing market tells a layered story. Plenty of properties still sit in the $300,000 to $500,000 range. but estates pushing past $1 million are increasingly common. These are not speculative flips. These are family compounds, designed and built with intention for people who think in decades, not quarters. A significant piece of Stonecrest's energy comes from the diaspora. Caribbean and African immigrant families bring something that cannot be manufactured, an entrepreneurial drive baked into their DNA, a reverence for education that borders on sacred, and a view of wealth that stretches across generations rather than ending at retirement. Government professionals, tech workers, healthcare executives, and business owners all overlap here, creating a community that feels globally Black rather than geographically limited. Arabia Mountain trails offer natural space. Strong schools and cultural festivals anchor community life. City incorporation ensured that development decisions finally aligned with residents instead of developers from the outside. Stonecrest does not chase Atlanta's approval. It builds steadily, deliberately, and with a kind of political leverage that only comes from political control meeting rising property values. Number 7, Johns Creek, Georgia. When excellence becomes the address, Johns Creek does not advertise itself as a Black wealth hub, and that invisibility is precisely the point. This North Fulton suburb sits in Atlanta's elite tier, known for top-ranked schools, corporate campuses, and neighborhoods where success blends in rather than standing out. Over the last decade, a select but powerful group of Black families moved in not by accident, by design. The median household income clears $120,000 comfortably. Home ownership sits north of 70%, and the housing here operates in an entirely different league. $600,000 is often the starting price. Gated estates push well past $1.5 million. The buyers are not speculators or short-term movers. These are families planting flags in soil they intend to pass down. The wealth engine in Johns Creek is deeply professional. Engineers tied to Atlanta's expanding tech ecosystem, surgeons affiliated with major healthcare systems, corporate executives who no longer need to be physically close to downtown because their leverage travels with them wherever they go. School districts drive more relocation decisions here than any other factor. Parents arrive asking one question: where does my child have the strongest runway? Johns Creek answers that question clearly and consistently. Life here is intentionally understated. Country clubs function as networking infrastructure. Tech parks hum quietly through the week. Even the luxury feels calibrated. No excess, just quality. Long-term neighbors and gated cul-de-sacs create the kind of stability that cannot be replicated in newer communities, still figuring out their identity. This is modern Black wealth choosing outcomes over optics, and it is building something durable enough that culture will eventually follow. Number 6, Collier Heights, Georgia, the neighborhood that wrote the blueprint. Before Atlanta had a brand, before it had a slogan, before the rappers and the reality stars and the production studios arrived, Collier Heights laid the foundation. Perched on the city's west side, this neighborhood was not simply a place Black families moved into. It was deliberately planned and built as an upscale Black community at a time when that concept was considered radical in the American South. Collier Heights remains over 90% Black today. Home ownership holds steady above 60%. Historic brick homes now trade between $400,000 and $800,000, and values continue climbing as preservation efforts protect the neighborhood's character from careless development. But the real wealth here is not financial, it is historical. This community was built by Black doctors, lawyers, educators, and executives who wanted more than access to existing white spaces. They wanted ownership, dignity, permanence. Figures like Martin Luther King Sr. and the legendary developer Herman J. Russell were not just names associated with this area. They were part of the ecosystem that made it function. In 2009, Collier Heights earned its place on the National Register of Historic Places, officially recognizing what residents had always known. Daily life reflects that legacy. Brick ranch homes line hilltop streets with skyline views that remind you exactly where you are in this city's story. Churches double as civic anchors. Neighborhood associations take preservation seriously and move quickly against anything that threatens the neighborhood's character. Pride here does not shout, it endures. And nearly every affluent Black enclave in Atlanta owes some debt to the precedent set right here. Number 5, Cascade Heights, Georgia, where legacy turned into leverage. If Collier Heights wrote the blueprint, Cascade Heights executed it at scale. Located in southwest Atlanta, this enclave has long been synonymous with Black success that does not need outside validation. By the time many neighborhoods in this city were still searching for their identity, Cascade Heights had already established itself as a place where Black professionals did not just live well, they led. The area remains roughly 95% Black, with home ownership consistently above 65%. Homes range from $500,000 to well past $1 million. Many sit on oversized lots that feel suburban, despite being firmly inside the city limits. Custom builds, quiet renovations, and long-standing upgrades are common. Wealth here evolves. It does not relocate. The rise of Cascade Heights traces back to the 1970s, when Black physicians, attorneys, and corporate executives moved en masse. As white flight drained other parts of Atlanta, Cascade Heights held its ground, not by accident, but through collective economic strength and a community resolve that turned neighborhood pride into a financial strategy. Politics plays a deliberate role here. This neighborhood has produced and housed mayors, city council members, judges, and policy architects. Power circulates informally at cookouts and formally in boardrooms. That concentration of leadership created something that most communities never achieved: a neighborhood capable of protecting itself from the forces that have dismantled other Black enclaves across America. Large lawns, backyard barbecues, long-standing neighbor relationships coexisting with access to parks and the expanding Beltline. Comfortable, but never complacent. Cascade Heights is what legacy looks like when it refuses to fade. Number 4. Eagles Landing, Stockbridge, Georgia, where Black wealth goes gated. Eagles Landing does not announce itself from the highway. You do not stumble into it. You arrive intentionally, past a gate, past a guardhouse, past a long stretch of manicured calm that feels entirely separate from Metro Atlanta's noise. This is Henry County's most elite Black stronghold, and it operates on a principle that the residents here understand deeply. Privacy first, everything else second. The wealth is unmistakable. Six-figure household incomes are not the exception here. They are the baseline. Homes start comfortably in the $500,000 range and stretch deep into the multi-million-dollar tier, especially for properties hugging the championship golf course designed by Tom Fazio. That course is not just an amenity, it is the neighborhood's social spine. Deals are discussed on fairways. Networks deepen over quiet clubhouse lunches. Status here is understated but fully understood by everyone inside the gate. Eagles Landing drew a very specific profile of residents over time. Corporate executives commuting into Atlanta who wanted to decompress on the drive home rather than before they even left the office. Athletes who craved space without spectacle. Entrepreneurs who valued control over visibility. These are buyers who did not just purchase homes, they purchased insulation from chaos. Large lots, long driveways, and architectural separation built into the very design of the community. One of the clearest signals of just how concentrated the wealth became surfaced in 2018, when parts of the area pushed to secede from Stockbridge and form an entirely new city. Regardless of where anyone stands on politics, the attempt itself said something important. This community had the tax base, the property values, and the economic confidence to even consider self-governance. That is not a flex you can fake. Life inside Eagles Landing moves at its own rhythm. Country club amenities replace public parks. Private gatherings replace public events. Even leisure feels curated. Eagles Landing represents the moment in Atlanta's Black wealth story when affluence stopped needing validation and started demanding boundaries. Number 3. Buckhead, Georgia. Luxury without the spotlight. Buckhead has always been Atlanta's most visible symbol of excess. Mansions, luxury towers, designer retail, power lunches where fortunes change hands over a single meal. What most observers miss is how much Black wealth operates quietly within this landscape. Not clustered into one visible community, but embedded strategically across it. No banners, no identifiers, just serious capital blending seamlessly into Atlanta's most expensive zip codes. There is no single Black Buckhead. There are pockets. Discrete streets, select buildings, specific developments where Black entrepreneurs, athletes, entertainers, and executives own real estate valued from $1 million to well past 5 million. This is wealth that does not need an enclave to feel secure. It integrates, scales, and thrives inside spaces that were never originally built with it in mind. The wealth here flows from multiple streams. Some residents built their fortunes through private equity and corporate leadership. Others arrived through entertainment, professional sports, or high-growth entrepreneurship. Real estate itself has become a major multiplier, with Black investors owning luxury condos, townhomes, and full estates that appreciate in one of the most reliable markets in the American South. Lifestyle in Buckhead is entirely about access, fine dining that doubles as deal-making space, elite training facilities, private schools, members-only clubs where the membership list reads like a who's who of Atlanta's power structure, high-rise living for those who want vertical luxury, sprawling estates for those who want privacy without leaving the city. Neighbors are CEOs, franchise operators, surgeons, and professional athletes, and nobody makes a headline out of it. What makes Buckhead's Black wealth especially compelling is the discretion. This is not legacy wealth tied to a historic enclave. This is the modern capital choosing proximity to commerce, convenience, and power. The kind of wealth that moves fluidly between boardrooms and investment properties without ever needing to announce its arrival. Buckhead proves something critical. Black wealth does not always gather in one place to be real. Sometimes it integrates and thrives and multiplies inside spaces that were built for someone else entirely. Number 2, Cascade Road in the Pageland Flats corridor, where networks do the heavy lifting. If you want to understand how Black wealth does not just accumulate in Atlanta, but sustains itself across time, this corridor tells that story better than any skyline view could. The stretch running through Pageland Flats and the surrounding pockets does not chase attention. It compounds influence through relationships, referrals, and long-term ownership, quietly, relentlessly. Demographically, the area remains overwhelmingly Black, often exceeding 85%. Home ownership is high. Property values have surged into the $700,000 to $1.5 million range, with custom builds and renovated estates becoming increasingly common. But the numbers only carry you halfway to understanding what is actually happening here. The real engine is professional density. Doctors live next to engineers. Corporate executives live down the street from attorneys and healthcare administrators. These are not just neighbors, they are referral networks, mentorship pipelines, investment circles. Children grow up surrounded by examples of stability and discipline that feel completely normal, not exceptional, just expected. Architecturally, the corridor blends eras in a way that reflects its character. Classic ranch homes sit beside modern rebuilds. Long, tree-lined lots offer privacy without isolation. There's a sense of continuity that runs through everything. People do not rush to leave once they arrive. Many families upgrade within the area instead of departing for somewhere else, keeping wealth circulating locally rather than bleeding out to other markets. Unlike flashier enclaves, the prestige in this corridor is rooted in trust. Trust in the schools, trust in the neighbors, trust that property values will hold, because the people maintaining them are personally and financially invested in the outcome. Homes here have stayed within extended families for decades, quietly appreciating while Atlanta grows up around them. This corridor is proof that wealth does not always roar. Sometimes it hums, steady and reinforced by shared standards and collective expectation. And that hum leads us directly to the crown jewel of this entire countdown. Number 1, Lake Sherwood and the elite enclaves of Southwest Atlanta, where Black wealth reaches its peak. Lake Sherwood does not feel like a neighborhood you move into. It feels like a place you arrive at after decades of doing things right. There's a specific kind of calm that settles over you when you cross into this pocket of Southwest Atlanta, the kind that comes from long-term ownership and low turnover. Residents are not chasing the next zip code upgrade because they already know they are exactly where they are supposed to be. The homes here communicate that immediately. Large, custom-built estates set back from the road, framed by mature trees, winding driveways, and lots that feel generously oversized by any city standard. Prices start in the high six figures and climb steadily from there. But more telling than valuation is how rarely these homes change hands. Many are multi-generational, passed down, renovated, expanded, protected rather than flipped. Ownership here is not speculative, it is strategic. The people who built this enclave did not arrive overnight. This area drew federal contractors, senior corporate executives, engineers, healthcare administrators, and logistics leaders. These are professionals whose careers matured in parallel with Atlanta's rise as a national business hub. A large share of the wealth here was built through long-term government work, corporate leadership, and disciplined investing rather than windfalls or viral moments. And that kind of money tends to stick around. Lake Sherwood reflects that stability in every direction. Lakes and green spaces give the neighborhood its name and its rhythm. Morning walks happen without fanfare. Social life revolves around trusted circles, not public scenes. Even leisure feels calibrated. Schools are strong. Civic engagement is deliberate. Community standards are quietly enforced by shared expectations, rather than an HOA newsletter nobody reads. But what makes Lake Sherwood truly extraordinary is how complete the ecosystem feels. Residents do not need to leave the immediate area to access quality education, professional networks, or meaningful social capital. Children grow up watching Black leadership operate as the norm, not the exception. Neighbors exchange contractor recommendations, business referrals, and college preparation advice with a naturalness that only comes from years of deep community trust. This is wealth that reproduces itself because the environment was designed specifically for continuity. In many ways, Lake Sherwood echoes what communities like Woodmore and Maryland represent on the East Coast. Not in flash, but in function. A fully realized Black professional class operating at scale, with the infrastructure, the networks, and the land ownership to sustain itself across generations. The difference is Atlanta's particular flavor, warmer, quieter, less performative, deeply and unapologetically rooted in the soil beneath it. From Union City's first-time buyers stacking equity near the world's busiest airport, to the multi-generational estates of Lake Sherwood, what this countdown reveals is something that goes far deeper than a list of affluent zip codes. Atlanta's Black wealth is not an accident. So which of these places fascinated you the most? Let us know in the comments. And for more interesting peeks into wealth and luxury, take a look at the channel.